Last month, a colleague posted on X, and I quote, "Is there a way churches can extract consent for social media photo posts from members the way schools do? I came to church for a personal talk time with God. I don't want to see photos of my moments with God used for content on Instagram and TikTok." And he actually echoed some of my thoughts. A few weeks ago, we saw the beautiful wedding ceremonies of Nigerian actor Sean Fakwa and his beautiful wife. The traditional wedding was proper traditional, sweet, cultural, royal, and very Igbo. We loved it, and it was a beauty to behold. Then came the spanner in the works, bloggers. They somehow did what they do best, dug out an old video of the bride in church during testimony. This video gave us all the unnecessary information, from the fact that she was previously married to how her husband just woke up one morning and decided he was done with marriage without any quarrel. Then came the response from the husband, which seemed very petty and unnecessary. That testimony meant for a group of people, Christians, landed in the hands of the public and became stones. But for Jesus Christ. Now, if that testimony had been kept private, I could have had a full weekend of how and God when without anyone trying to throw that. My friends and I had visited restaurants, bars, and lounges in Lagos when suddenly cameras were on our faces, taking videos and pictures for Instagram without our permission. In this era of endless content, everything and everyone has become fair game. But where do we draw the line? We've built a world where content is currency and privacy is collateral damage. We need to start asking uncomfortable questions. Who protects the individuals from the digital backlash that often follows? The mockery, misrepresentation, or online harassment that can change a person's life overnight. Where do we draw the line? Consent is not just a checkbox, it is respect. It is recognizing that everyone deserves control over how their story is told.
A lot of people don't have adequate understanding of what personal space is, and that reflects in the way we engage people and the kind of content we take of others and put out. Yesterday, I saw there was a memo of a Delta State University student who has been suspended for 4 semesters because she posted a TikTok video of another student dying at the school's health center, using it as a teachable moment for girls not to do abortion. I'm sure she doesn't even know why the person died. And the school decided to take action and suspend her for 4 semesters. And some social media activists have started to take up the situation and say, why would the school suspend her? This person had no dignity for the life of the student who was dying, no dignity, no respect for her parents and her loved ones. It is inhuman, it is callous, it is disrespectful on so many fronts. Beyond that, like you said, we go out to socialize. The first time I'm always saying is, I don't consent to be part of your content. I am here to have fun. I'm paying my bills fully. I don't want to be on your social media. I have a friend who went for a rave, and then his mom sent it to him like he had the billboard. I mean, embarrassment on so many levels. We are respectable citizens in the day. You know, we have a certain
image. Nice, what do you do? I mean, very respectable.
whatever that happens after, and then there is this current trend of vendors charging you extra if you just say you're not going to be, you don't consent to be part of their content.
Really?
Yes. There was even one that trended recently. I said she was going to charge 35K extra simply because said you are not going to use my content as anything. Recently, I purchased a dress from a particular brand and I shared it on my social media, and then they said that I said, I didn't give you consent. I paid my money in full. I don't want to be part of your brand collateral. You know, again, we need to go back, you know, and define rules around what constitutes private and public content, and what brands and individuals need to do before they can put out third-party content.
It's been my considered opinion that the social media space needs a lot of regulation because people just post stuff. We don't even know what is correct news or not anymore. And I don't know if that's a function of the mainstream media not being up and doing, or maybe we just allow social media to just erupt without the necessary guidelines. Because there's a lot of stuff out there that's not even sensitive to age of who could access it. And also, like Zuma said, like people's rights to privacy. I understand there's a European country that's actually saying that their citizens should take ownership of their images and all that. I think that's a step in the right direction. But for sure, we need regulation around social media and most of the media that's out there today.
I also saw a post from, I think, a country, I can't remember the country now, saying that influencers have to provide certificates to show that they are certified to talk about some of the crucial issues they're talking about. I think that makes sense.
I think I'm going to jump on that, because I think we need to, first of all, separate or understand or define the difference between free speech and ignorance. Because when we talk about social media regulation, everybody's like, oh, they're going to take away free speech and all that. But like, for content to go on live TV, they have to go through various processes. NBC has to make sure they go through different regulations before the world can see. That's before we have social media. You can't even just put a billboard without going through a process of the content itself.
Absolutely.
That is how important it is when it comes to making sure that you don't misinform people. But when it comes to social media, where you have way more people than even TV, the consumption of social media is 100% higher than the people that sit down and watch TV. There's no regulation. There's freedom. Yesterday, I was watching the content online. I bumped into the content online. This girl was just saying something that doesn't make absolute sense about relationship. And I'm like, who made you
A
an
relationship
expert,
consultant?
bro? Like, who made you an expert? Like, we live in a world right now where everybody's an expert on everything. You go to ChatGPT, it tells you whatever, and then you come and you just talk about it. If we have everybody being an expert on everything, that means anybody can fly a plane. Just what I'm saying. So I buy the idea that, first of all, I don't want to talk about this again because this is something I've been talking about every time we're on this show. I feel like I want to actually give advice at this point. First, Nigeria has to create an agency dedicated to cyber regulation. I can give them a name: Cyberspace Administration of Nigeria, CAN.
Okay.
It can be under NIDA. It can be under NIDA. Their job is to make sure that anybody that wants to own an account that is for commercial purpose should have an influencer digital certificate. Like, if you're going to talk about health, let's make sure you are a doctor, you have a certification to talk about health. Because there are people who are so ignorant and they have no understanding, and you just take that information and run with it.
As gospel.
So we need to put structures in place. It has nothing to do with free speech.
So, but when you look at some of the things going on, you mentioned in particular the church, there's a gray area there. And that's where...
The church, restaurants, bars, all of them.
There's a gray area, and it's not black and white to say who can give consent. I mean, take for example, if a photographer takes your picture, who holds the copyright? It's a photographer.
The photographer, yeah.
It's not you. You know, so the question for me is the intent and the purpose when some of those things are taken. So if a church decides to take your content and it is used essentially for commercial, now it's quote unquote because a church is a non-for-profit, you know, so you're not supposed to have commercial content. But if you can make an argument that if you're pushing it out in social media and all that, and then it increases your followership or your membership, and then that increases your income, it's commercial in a sense. The question is, do you have a right to call the church and say, no, take down that content because I didn't give consent, because you have used it to promote yourself or promote an idea, really, that I don't really agree to. Unfortunately, we don't have judicial precedent. People have not gone to court to test this. And my appeal would be those who really feel strong about this should go to court.
We should go to court.
And let's test it. Let's test the law and let's see what it's going to say. But one thing I will advise, especially for churches and restaurants, when they want to do some of these things that they do, put a notice outside or somewhere where anybody that is coming in can read that clearly says, this session is being recorded and your participation gives consent. It's an opportunity here for us to actually test the laws and see where the line exists. Because you say, where do we draw the line? We don't know where the line is currently if we don't test it judicially.
So, Bianca, based on what you just said, yeah, like where there's no law, there's no infraction, there's no sin. So which now leads us to what Bright was saying. So there should be an agency to do regulation.
Yeah.
So if the person who uses it is challenged, then the constitutionality for how it does not agree with free speech will now be what the courts will deal with. But first, let's have the regulations.
What you need is a regulatory framework that just says that within the NDPR, for instance, when it has to do with, like it says, you know, if you have followership of more than 10,000, you must come and register.
In a world where content is currency and privacy is collateral damage, what uncomfortable questions are you asking?